Hello, my name is Brad Morse and I work at the University of Colorado on the Anschutz Medical Campus. And I'm filming this at the Centers for American Indian Alaska Native Health. This is session number 3 in the after-school science curriculum. Today we're going to be doing mystery bottles. The mystery bottle is an opportunity for the youth in your club to come together and explore with household objects you'll find around the club, put them together and talk about science. There's a lot of things that will come out of this particular session. There's great vocabulary words that we'll be going over, and I think the youth will really enjoy exploring and really coming to understand the term or the phrase, water and oil don't mix. And so it's something that you can talk to the youth about, that phrase and what you're going to be doing today. The session should take about an hour. What you want to do before the youth come to the club is you want to get set up. So some of the materials you'll be needing today is some water from a pitcher, as many used plastic bottles as you can come up with. You could probably find these in the recycle bins and the trash bins around the club or from home. Youth might even bring one in with them at the end of their school day. So they might have some bottles that you could use. You'll need measuring cups, particularly the 1 cup measurement. At least 2 funnels. You'll be pouring water and oil, and you'll probably want to keep water in one and oil in the other, just so that for easier cleanup when you are done with the session and you're using soap to clean up the vegetable oil. Like I just mentioned, you'll need the vegetable oil, and that will be in your toolkit that the university sent out to the club. And also you're going to want to have some food coloring on hand to allow the kids to express themselves through color and talk about their favorite color and things like that. So some of the better things in this particular session are the concepts of equity. In this particular session we're going to be talking about how students will become aware that through cooking or just household things that their parents do, their grandparents do, everyone's interacting with science. Everyone is doing science, which is a great thing for youth to learn at an early age. So once you have your materials all together, invite the kids to explore a pre-made bottle. I've made a pre-made bottle here. I use blue food coloring, and the oil of course is on top. You'll want to make as many of these bottles as maybe perhaps tables you have at the club that the youth will be using to sit at to do this session. They'll come in and you'll talk to them about session number 3, that it's the mystery bottle, and you'll have these on the tables so that they can explore before they get their hands dirty and get into the middle of the session. So having pre-made bottles is always a good idea. The first section of this session is exploring the mystery bottles. So like we mentioned before, you'll want to have your pre-made bottle on each of the tables, and you'll want to divide the youth up into small groups, 5, 3. Really it depends on how many bottles you have pre-made for the youth. So you'll invite them to sit down at the table, pick up the bottle, and really explore what's going on inside the bottle. They'll probably pick it up and shake it, which is fine. That's, you know, an inquiry based. It's all about asking questions. It's about looking at it and observing what the materials are doing inside the bottle. So have the bottles on the table. They'll come in and they'll be curious right away and start playing with the bottles. What you'll want to do at that time is have maybe a whiteboard or some butcher paper on the wall, and what you're going to have the youth do is explain their observations to you, and you'll write those down on a whiteboard. So perhaps a youth says that the materials in the bottle are staying separated. So you'll get your pen and your paper or your whiteboard and you'll write down the observations that the youth are making about the bottle. Some questions that you can ask after they make their observations are, do you think we could make one of these ourselves? And Hal, what do you think the process is to make the bottle, the mystery bottle? So you'll ask them what steps are involved, and so they can start thinking about what steps they will need to take to put this bottle together. Okay, so it's time to make a bottle, a mystery bottle for the youth. So you'll have the youth gather around the front table, or you can lead the group from the front of the classroom or the room that you're using if there's multiple tables. So to make a mystery bottle, it's fairly easy. You'll want empty bottles. This one has water in it right now, so I'm just going to put it in my pitcher so that we could use it for the other tables. So here's my empty bottle, and the steps are fairly simple and straightforward, but it's a really good opportunity for the youth to use their fine motor skills and to play around with utensils that they would be likely using in a kitchen. So the first step is to measure out 1 cup of water. So you'll take your pitcher and put 1 cup into the measuring cup. Then you'll grab your funnel, like so, and you'll put it in the top of the bottle. Then you'll pour the water in. The funnel is nice because it's something that we use in the kitchen quite often for recipes and making meals, so just getting familiar with this type of tool is nice for the youth. And then you'll have the youth select one of the colors from the food coloring that they would choose. The first bottle I made was blue, so I'm going to use red this time. So remind the youth that a little bit of food coloring goes a long way. So you'll just put in 1 or 2 drops. And they can be making observations as you go throughout this process. I think it's a lot of fun to make observations about what happens when you put the food coloring in. It makes really wavy type of patterns inside the water, which is neat. They can talk about how it looks like a cloud, or even space. It looks like a nebula in some fashion too, because it's not really dissolved throughout the entire volume of water. So we'll shake it and have the color disperse throughout the entirety of the water. So our second step is to take another funnel, put it in the top of the bottle. We'll go back to our measuring cup and measure out, let's say, a half cup of vegetable oil. You'll want to remind the youth that this is a messy material. It's a food material too, so you'll want to put down newspapers on the tables for easy cleanup or something of that nature. I've already spilled. So then you'll pour it into the funnel, and that goes directly to the bottle. And you'll again want the youth to be taking observations as you do the process. So they'll see that there's a lot of bubbles in the vegetable oil right now once it initially goes into the water, and it's fun to watch the process of the materials settling. And it happens pretty rapidly. See, we have a red band and a gold band right away. So they can observe the bubbles in the vegetable oils and how it sits on top of the water. So as this process is unfolding, you'll want to go ahead and make these observations on the whiteboard or your butcher paper. So now that you've made your bottle, you really want to remind the youth to put on the caps tight so that it doesn't make a mess in your classroom. And then they can really start to do experiments. Watch how the oil separates into the water when it's shaken, and the process of the materials returning to their original position. So at this point, you really want to ask the students to explore with the materials and really get involved with the science of what's happening. As a reminder, the literacy connection in after-school science is a key component. So we're going to go ahead and go over some of the vocabulary words right now. These words will help you as you're instructing the youth as they go through the process. So let's define the terms for After School Science Session 3, Mystery Bottle. We have a list of our vocabulary words here. Density, diffusion, dissolve, immiscible, miscible, mixture, and solution. And we'll go through them one by one. First we have density. Density is an object's mass divided by its volume. Volume is the amount of space an object takes up. Mass is the amount of matter which it contains. Two items of the same dimensions take up the same amount of space but may be different in density. The item that is more dense will weigh more. A block of lead is more dense than a block of wood of the same dimensions. So they have the same volume, but their density is different. The lead is heavier than the block of wood. Our second word is diffusion. The gradual mixing of molecules of two or more substances to form a mixture or solution. For example, here, food coloring dropped into the water slowly diffuses, changing the color of the water. We mentioned this before when we put the red food coloring into the bottle. We watched how the food coloring dissolved into the water and it made the cloud or nebula shape. Our third word is dissolve. Cause to pass into solution. The substance that dissolves is the solute. The substance it dissolves into is a solvent. Salt added to water acts as a solute, creating a solution of salt and water. Immiscible. Liquids that cannot blend together. So that's an example of what we're looking at today. Look at a bottle of an Italian salad dressing on the shelf at your grocery store for another example. You'll see that the oil layer floating on top of the vinegar will never quite mix. They always sit on top of one another. They may have the same volume, but their densities are quite different. Miscible is our next word. Liquids that blend together to form one liquid. An example of this is when ice melts into a glass of water. The water mixes with the ice and the solution becomes of equal parts, and it does mix well. Mixture is a combination of two or more substances in which each retains its chemical identity. Salt added to pepper form a type of mixture. And our last word is solution, a uniform blend of one or more substances dissolved in another substance. The water we swim in at the beach is a saltwater solution. The water tastes salty, yet we can't easily remove it from it. So these are our vocabulary words that we're going to be using after the youth in your club have a chance to observe the mystery bottles and get to create one of their own. So this has been After School Science Session 3, Mystery Bottles. Let us know how it goes. I hope that the students enjoy making their mystery bottles and making discoveries while also connecting the discoveries to new vocabulary words that we just defined. Have a nice day.